Think way back. Imagine a world long, long ago, a time before anything we know today. No houses, no fires, not really, not controlled ones, no clothes, just a vast, wild place. And in that place are very early ancestors. Not quite us, not fully, but they were getting there. They were learning. They were trying to survive. And that's the big question, isn't it? What happened? What flipped the switch? What made the very first human or proto human pick up a rock or a stick and not just use it, but change it? Make it do something new. That's what we're talking about. The very first tool. Not a fancy hammer, not a wheel, something much simpler, but it changed everything. It wasn't one thing. It was a mix of many things, all pushing at once. Imagine a living being like us, but not quite. Brain getting bigger, getting smarter. They had hands, free to do things because they walked upright. And they were in a tough spot. Life was hard, really hard. One of the biggest drivers was simple need. Just pure, raw need. Our ancestors were hungry. Always. Food was everywhere, but it was also locked away. Think about it. Animals had thick hides. Their bones had marrow inside. Plants had tough roots or hard shells. Our hands, strong as they were, weren't enough. Our teeth, sharp as they were, weren't enough. So you're hungry. You find a dead animal. Maybe a lion left some scraps. You can tear at the meat with your hands, sure. But there's good stuff on the bone, the tendons, the rich marrow inside. You try to bite it. Your teeth just slide off. You try to pull it apart. It's too strong. You're frustrated. You're still hungry. And then maybe you see a rock, just a plain rock on the ground. You've seen rocks your whole life. You've probably thrown them. But this time, something is different. Maybe you just pick it up out of frustration and you smash it against the bone. What happens? Maybe nothing. The bone just bounces. But maybe, just maybe, the bone cracks. And suddenly, there's a new smell. The marrow is exposed. You get at it, and it tastes good. It's rich. It gives you energy. That's a huge moment. Not just using a rock as a hammer, but understanding the effect that hitting this hard thing against that other hard thing can break it open. That's a connection, a cause and effect. And that kind of thinking is key. But it's not just breaking bones. It's also cutting meat. Imagine trying to eat a big piece of raw meat with your bare hands and teeth. It's slow, it's messy, it's inefficient. You need to get the meat off the bone. You need to cut it into smaller pieces. Again, your teeth are okay, but not great. Your fingernails? Useless. So you work on this carcass, and maybe in your smashing of the bone, one of the rocks you used broke. It didn't just smash, it fractured, and one of the pieces has a sharp edge. A really sharp edge. Sharper than anything you've ever felt. You pick it up. You touch the edge. It cuts your finger, maybe. Ouch. But then you look at the meat. You try to scrape the sharp edge against the meat, and it cuts. It slices. Not perfectly, not like a modern knife, but it works. It separates the meat from the bone. It cuts a piece small enough to chew easily. This is another huge moment. Now you have a cutting tool, and you realize this sharp rock is better than my hands for cutting. So, you're driven by hunger, by the need for more food, better food, and you're driven by efficiency. Getting more calories for less effort. Because in that world, every calorie counted. Every bit of energy saved was a win. But survival isn't just about food, it's also about safety. The world was a dangerous place. Predators were everywhere. Big cats, hyenas. Other threats. Our ancestors weren't the strongest. They weren't the fastest. They didn't have claws or huge teeth. They were vulnerable. Imagine being in the open. A predator is coming. You need to defend yourself or scare it off. What do? You pick up a stick, you wave it, you throw rocks. Animals do this. Monkeys throw things. And chimpanzees use sticks. But our ancestors took it further. Maybe they realized a heavier rock thrown harder did more damage. Or a longer, sturdier stick could keep a predator further away. This wasn't just about using an object. It was about choosing the right object. A rock that fits your hand. A stick that's long enough and strong enough. That's a step towards tool making, because selection is the first part of creation. You're not just grabbing any old thing. You're selecting with a purpose. And this selection led to modification. What if the stick isn't quite right? What if it's too long? Can you break it? What if it's too flimsy? Can you find a better one? This kind of thinking starts to nudge towards actively changing the environment to suit your needs. Then there's the environment itself. The climate was changing sometimes. Forests gave way to savannas. Or new foods appeared, old foods disappeared. This meant adapting. It meant finding new ways to get resources. For example, digging. Many edible roots and tubers are underground. Our hands are good for a lot, but digging hard, dry ground is tough. It breaks your nails, it hurts your fingers, but a sturdy stick? A stick could dig. A pointed stick could dig better. Could you sharpen a stick with a rock? Yes. Now you have a digging tool. This opens up new food sources, more variety, more chances to survive when other foods are scarce. The ability to process food with tools didn't just help with hunger, it also started to change us. When you cut meat into smaller pieces, or pound roots, or crack nuts, you're doing some of the work outside your body. This means your jaw doesn't have to be as strong, your teeth don't have to be as big. Over time, this actually led to changes in our anatomy, smaller jaws, smaller teeth. And this, in turn, freed up more space in the skull for a bigger brain. It's a feedback loop. Our tools helped us eat better, which helped us evolve, which helped us make better tools. So, the brain. This is huge. Our ancestors had a unique brain even then. It was developing the ability to think ahead, to plan. Animals use tools sometimes, but they don't usually make them with a future purpose in mind. A chimpanzee might use a rock to crack a nut, but it probably isn't going to spend time shaping that rock into a better nutcracker for tomorrow. Our ancestors started to do this. They started to think, if I break this rock this way, it will make a sharp edge. And that sharp edge will help me cut this animal. And I will do this tomorrow too. This is foresight. This is imagination. This is the ability to conceive of something that doesn't exist yet and then make it real. It's not just about immediate need. It's about anticipating future need. Maybe you're not hungry right now, but you know you will be. And you know you'll need a good cutting edge. So, you take the time to find the right stone, and you strike it carefully, trying to get a specific shape. This is tool making, not just tool using. This is a huge leap. And the first tools weren't always stone. Those stone tools are what last the longest in the archaeological record. Our ancestors probably used wood and bone too. A sharpened stick could be a spear. A sturdy bone could be a club. But these things rot. They break down. So, we find mostly stone. Think about how a stone tool is made. It's not easy. You need the right kind of stone, like flint or chert. And you need another stone, a hammer stone, to strike it. But you can't just hit it anywhere. You have to hit it at a specific angle with a specific force to get a flake to come off. And you want that flake to have a sharp edge. This takes skill. It takes practice. It takes understanding the properties of the materials. So someone, many someones, over a long time, figured this out. They learned that if you hit a rock just so, a piece breaks off, and if you hit that piece again, more pieces break off, and you can start to shape it. You can make it sharper, you can make it have a handle. This learning wasn't just individual. It was social. Imagine a small group of early humans. One of them figures out a trick. Maybe they accidentally make a great sharp flake. Others see it, they watch. They try to copy it. Children watch their parents. They learn. They pass it on. This is culture. This is the sharing of knowledge. And this speeds up the process. Better tools mean better survival for the whole group. And it wasn't just about one kind of tool. Once they figured out how to make a sharp edge, they could use it for all sorts of things. It's cutting meat, yes, but also scraping hides to make them softer for warmth or carrying, sharpening, other sticks for digging or spears, processing plants. The uses just kept growing. Consider the role of curiosity. Humans are curious creatures. We want to know how things work. We experiment. Even if there wasn't a direct, immediate need, someone might have just been playing with rocks. Hitting them together, seeing what happens, and then making a discovery. That play, that experimentation, is a form of learning. It's how new ideas come about. The upright posture bipedalism was a big deal here. When our ancestors started walking on two legs, it freed up their hands. Their hands weren't needed for moving around. Now, they could carry things, now they could manipulate things, they could use their hands for complex tasks. This was a critical physical adaptation that made tool use and tool making possible. Without free hands, it's a very different story. Try to make a complex tool with your mouth, for example. It's impossible, and our hands are amazing. They have opposable thumbs. This means we can grip things in a way no other animal can. We can hold a hammerstone firmly. We can hold the core stone steady. We can make precise movements. This fine motor control, combined with a developing brain, was a powerful combination. So, you have a brain that can plan, hands that can manipulate, and a world full of challenges and opportunities. The challenge of getting food, the danger of predators, the opportunity of materials all around stone, wood, bone. And there's a certain feeling that must have driven them, a feeling of agency, of control. Before tools, you are mostly at the mercy of nature. You react. With a tool, you start to act. You make things happen. You change your environment. That's empowering. That's a powerful motivation to make your life a little less hard. It's to feel a little safer, to eat a little better. This wasn't a one-time event. It was a long, slow process. The first tools were crude, a simple sharp flake, a simple hammerstone, but over hundreds of thousands of years, they got better. They got more specialized, they got more complex, the technology evolved. Imagine a group surviving for generations with very basic tools. Then someone, through accident or cleverness, figures out a slightly better way to flake a stone. Suddenly, the tools are sharper. They last longer, they are more efficient. That group might have an advantage over other groups, they might get more food. They might raise more children, and that innovation spreads. The need for tools wasn't just about survival. It was about expansion. Once you have tools, you can move into new environments. You can eat foods that were previously inaccessible. You can defend against new threats. Tools opened up the world to our ancestors. They allowed them to leave the comfort of their original homes and spread across continents. Think about the sheer amount of time this took, millions of years of incremental changes. Not just a flash of genius, it was problem after problem, and small solutions built upon, improved, refined. The drive was constant. The pressure of survival never went away, and this cycle continued. Better tools led to different behaviors. Different behaviors led to changes in the brain. The brain got bigger, more complex, capable of even more abstract thought, which in turn allowed for even more complex tools. It's a continuous upward spiral. So, the biggest driver? It was simply trying to live. Trying to survive in a hard world, trying to get food, stay safe, but it was also coupled with a unique brain that could see connections, plan ahead, and learn from experience. And with hands that could execute those plans. It was the combination of raw, immediate needs, hunger, safety, with the emerging cognitive abilities that allowed our ancestors to not just use what was around them, but to make what they needed. To impose their will, in a small way, on the natural world, to create something new, something that would help them. And in doing so, they didn't just create a tool, they created themselves. They stepped onto a path that eventually led to us, right here, right now, thinking about them. That first tool was the beginning of everything we are.